Welcome to Doors to Hope and Healing, an inside look at foster care and adoption needs in Connecticut. My name is Jacqueline Ford. I have had the honor of working for the department for close to 30 years, and although I may be familiar with many of the topics I bring to you, I have invited experts in those fields to help dispel the myths and misconceptions that often act as barriers. Join us as we open our doors to an inside look at the Department of Children and Family. Deborah, thank you so much for being on Doors to Hope and Healing. It's a pleasure to have you on our set today.
Thank you so much, Jackie. It's a pleasure to be here.
When I had met you a few weeks ago at the event that we had hosted at the Christmas time, you know, your story was so raw and so real, and I have no doubt that you're going to be able to inspire not only the viewers, but other moms and dads that are involved with Department of Children and Families who will see the work that you did and what's possible. So I appreciate you being so brave to share your story with all of us today.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Thank you. So let's talk about. So you're the mom of 4 children, and a true warrior, because your own childhood trauma has definitely impacted some life choices that you made. So can you take us back to that day? You had talked about the dark days when you felt like you had hit rock bottom, is using your own words. Can you take us back to those days and when this whole journey with the Department of Children and Families really started?
Before the girls were taken?
Yes, before the girls were taken.
Wow, yeah. So I was a foster care child myself, and my mother did not fight for me, and so I didn't want history to repeat itself. And you know, throughout being a mother, I always struggled with depression, anxiety, PTSD, a lot of things that I didn't get help for. Being a survivor of sexual assault myself and molestation from when I was a child, you know, I was in and out of therapy a lot, different medications, a lot of sweep under the carpet, avoid the elephant in the room, suppressing feelings, thoughts, emotions, and just flight or fight survival mode. I didn't know any better. And so, you know, before I met the twins' father, I was a single mom to the boys. And, you know, I struggled here and there on and off, but it didn't get really, really bad until I met the twins' father. So yeah, we were together for 4 years.
So over a year ago, you explained, and I quote, "I was out of control. I was a pile of crumbs." And I think that was at the point where the department became involved, and that's when you were really struggling with alcohol and drugs and the abusive partner. Can you take us back to that moment when you felt really like you were that pile of crumbs? What did you mean by that?
I didn't want to live. You know, I wanted to live, obviously. I never thought about taking my own life or anything like that. But the pain was just so unbearable. I couldn't function. You know, I was so broken. I wasn't even healed when I met the twins' father. And so 2 dead batteries are not going to start anything, right? And so, but I didn't realize that then. You think you notice red flags, but you really don't. And looking back and reflecting on it now, it's like, wow, like, you know, it really is true when people say, no one's going to love you like you love yourself. If you can get yourself to a point where you can be on that journey of self-love, oh my gosh, you won't find yourself settling anymore. You'll have boundaries set in place, and you'll teach people how to treat you. And, you know, the abuse that I endured during that relationship was beyond anything I've ever experienced in my entire life. It was awful. And, you know, the boys saw a lot because they're older. It was verbal, emotional, physical, spirit. I mean, just, he broke me down to nothing. I lost myself, truly. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I've always been a family-oriented person, and so I've always had that idea of a family. And so I think I was in love with the idea of having a family, and I was already a single mom with 2 boys. And here I am, 37 years old. My boys are 15 and 7, and I'm pregnant. And I didn't want to be another single mom with 4 children at my age, and so I stayed for all the wrong reasons. And sometimes you don't even realize you're being abused when you're in that situation. You find yourself making excuses for your partner, you're in denial, you settle. And things really came to a screeching halt. Actually, in October 6th of 2021, I was really fearful for my life, and I called the police and had him arrested, and he went to jail, so he was out of the home. So after he got placed in incarceration, it was me and the 4 kids. So at this point, the boys are 18 and 11, and the girls are 2 years and 9 months. The 18-year-old did not actually, neither one of my boys liked the twins' father, my partner at the time. So the 18-year-old moved out. I would never kick my children out, So my 18-year-old moved out, stayed with his best friend. And the 11-year-old, his father intervened. And at the time I was angry with the 11-year-old's father, but I understand why he intervened. I mean, he was really doing what was best for our son. So you got to figure, my partner's in jail. My 18-year-old moved out. My 11-year-old son got taken by his father. Now it's just me and the girls. And I was already in active addiction. And I wasn't being abused anymore because he wasn't physically in the home, but I was still left with the remnants of all that.
Sure.
And when you suffer loss after loss after loss like that, I mean, I was just drowning. And then I was overwhelmed. I was depressed. I was scared. I was lonely. I was just really going through it. And I reached out for help, and I asked a girlfriend of mine to take the girls. I knew deep down inside that I wasn't being the best mother that I could be to my children. I knew that. I know right from wrong. I'm not stupid. I knew what was going to happen. It was inevitable. And so I wanted to do what I thought was best for the girls at the time. I knew the boys were fine, right? The 18-year-old was with his friend. The 11-year-old was with his father. And so I was really hard on myself. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't deserve my children. I'm a bad mom, And so I asked a girlfriend if she could take the twins for a weekend, just so I can either detox myself or sleep the whole weekend. I was really overwhelmed. And that weekend turned into a week and then another week. And my girlfriend knew I was sick. And so she called the Caroline. And at first I was angry with her, but obviously we've moved past that, and I understand why she did what she did. And she feels terrible about it too, but that's how you know someone truly cares about you, and they have the best interest for you and your children. And that's what I needed. I needed someone in my corner that could hold me accountable and say, Debbie, this is not you, or this is wrong.
Right.
If you're not going to speak up for your children, I'm going to. And I appreciate her for that to this day,
It's tough love that she offered to you.
Tough love. And I love her, and I appreciate her, and I respect her a lot. I've gotten some backlash, like, oh, why are you friends with her? She called DCF on you. You don't understand. You just don't understand. She wasn't doing it to be spiteful or hurtful or mean, and she still has her regrets. She beats herself up over all the time, but she genuinely cared about me and my children, and she knew I needed help. And so I'm kind of glad I had that intervention. And so with that being said, December 23rd of last year, 2000, we're in 2023 now.
Yes.
So December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas in 2021, I got a phone call from my friend's mother, where my girls were, and she said, Debbie, they're gone. They took them. And I don't remember much after that phone call. I don't even know what I did or where I went. All I know is that my addiction really, got worse. I didn't know what to do. I felt so lost. I could not believe, and here I'm thinking, I thought I was doing what was best for the girls, right? I knew I couldn't take care of them, so I asked for someone to help, and then I felt betrayed. You know, these are all normal feelings and emotions that someone's going to go through, right? And so I felt betrayed. I was angry. I was resentful. You know, and part of me still missed my partner. As crazy as that sounds, but when it's hard to explain. But
well, you were getting attention, even if it was negative attention. You were getting attention from him in your relationship. So you probably were feeling very alone at this time, with the girls being taken by DCF and in this estranged relationship with him, and a friend that you feel betrayed you. So I think all of those feelings are so normal. Yeah,
and you know, so when the girls were taken, you know, and like I said, my addiction got worse, and there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. But I will not deny it either. You know, I'm very open and honest about that. I failed my children. I failed my children, and I failed myself. And there were days, Jackie. There were days where I contemplated willingly giving my children up for adoption. I can't even tell you how many times I wanted to pick up that phone and call DCF and say, just keep them. They don't deserve me. I don't deserve them. That's how weak and how broken I was. I mean, I just cannot explain. And I'm so glad I never had the guts to really do that. But to be a mother and to think about someone else caring for your children or raising your children, or knowing that you're so sick. And at that point, I didn't know how I was going to get help, you know? I'll tell you what, I just got a lot of fight in me. And I think a lot of it was, I'm conditioned from how I was born and what I was, you know, born into, and how I was raised and how I was treated. I was already conditioned. And so, you know, I've always felt like a fighter. I'm a scrapper, I'm a fighter. I've never given up. I've never given up. And, you know, I just don't ever want my children to feel what I still feel today as an adult, as a woman. You know, I've always longed and yearned for a mother-daughter relationship. Growing up, just my whole life feeling like I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy, you know? And sometimes I question, where do I get all my love from? How can I be this empathetic and this nurturing and this maternal when I didn't come from it? There has to be an explanation, and I believe that's my higher power, honestly. And, you know, you have to have the willingness. You have to be willing to first be honest with yourself. Forget everybody else around you. Can you be honest with yourself? Can you look in the mirror and say, this is not how I want to live, or I know this is wrong, or I want something different? And when the girls were in foster care, it was tough. It was really tough. I never missed a visit, never canceled a visit. And it was difficult. I would have to hold in my tears until after the girls left. It was very hard saying goodbye to them.
Oh, I'm sure.
On and off for almost a year, you know. It was torture, but I never gave up.
At what point did you make that call to enroll yourself in the rehabilitation program?
So from December 23rd of 2021 to April 7th of 2022. So what, like 3-something months, right?
So from January until April?
Yeah. So 3-4 months.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, my addiction spiraled out of control. I gave up. I think at that point I just gave up. And the pain was just so unbearable, and I just didn't want to feel. So I just numbed and I lost myself in the darkness for a while. And even during that darkness, I still knew this is not it. This is not it.
So you didn't give up?
Never. And so I finally, truly, like I said, I sat with myself one day in my apartment by myself, looking at pictures of my children. And
that gave you the strength, those pictures and those memories gave you the strength to make that call?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, people always ask me, well, you know, how did you find this rehab place? Did DCF find it for you? I said, no. I said, I went on Google and I typed in women and children's programs. I could have went to a rehab close to home, but I knew I wanted to go far away, right? I just wanted to go far away. So I went to Waterbury, where I didn't know anybody. And I was there for you know, they got detox centers, they got programs for like 28 days, 30 days. No, if I'm gonna go, I'm going. I'm going all in. And so I found a 90-day program. And I remember calling my DCF worker to share the good news with her, and she was just over the moon. She's like, oh my God. And I'm like, if I go to rehab, am I gonna lose my kids? She goes, Debbie, if you go to rehab, you're gonna get them back. So I was afraid to be gone for that long, but DCF accommodated me and brought the girls to me. Yeah. So I could still see them when I was in rehab. And that really kept me going, seeing them.
I'm sure.
It was hard. I didn't see the boys for those 3 months because it was a women and children's program, so males were not allowed there, and COVID and stuff. But a lot of FaceTimes, a lot of phone calls, text messages, and mail for me and the boys. And that's another thing too. When you have, sometimes I feel like my generation has it all wrong. You should apologize to your children. You should be treating your children like they're human beings. You should show them the same respect that you would want, right? So I don't want to raise my children the way that I was raised. If I'm wrong, I'm going to admit I'm wrong. And if my children, if they deserve an apology from me, I'm going to give it to them. I want to show my children we are human beings. It's okay to make mistakes, and it's okay to be wrong sometimes. But you need to learn from those mistakes and try not to do it again, and just show remorse and just have some compassion and empathy for other people, And I'm thankful that my kids, especially my boys, they never gave up on me. They never gave up on me. They forgave me.
Well, you taught them how to forgive, and you're such an example of resilience. And you've mentioned a few times that there were moments where you gave up, but you never gave up. You never ever gave up, and I'm sure you're so proud of yourself when you look back to where you were and where you are today. Look at you now. So, what do you feel like you learned in rehab? What did they work on with you in rehab, other than obviously you were detoxing and you weren't using drugs and alcohol, obviously, for those 90 days. But what did they teach you about, those generational curses and the trauma that you had endured and the unhealthy relationships and how to be a better mom?
Oh, God. It was my first rehab ever. 41 years old, 40 years old. Never been to a rehab a day in my life, And so they always called me the late bloomer because a lot of women in the program that I was in, I've been here 4 or 5 times, And so I'm like, oh my God. I didn't know what to expect. And I definitely give the staff a run for their money. I mean, I came in there like a hurricane, like a tornado. I was just so scared. It was like a defense mechanism, But it was such an intensive therapeutic atmosphere. They had clinicians. I mean, they really, they had you dig deep. They had you dig really deep. And so they taught me how to face what I went through, right? And to really go through those emotions and those feelings and to sit with them, to understand them, to embrace them, to know that it's okay, to know that it's not my fault. And how I want to move forward and how I want to teach my children different things than what I was taught. Rehab helped me work on things I never worked on before, even in regular counseling. I mean, this rehab was
intensive.
Oh, yes. I cried a lot. I cried a lot. I walked out of group a lot. I'd slam doors a lot. I'd be in my room alone. It was tough. I mean, there were days where I'd call my DCF worker and be like, I want out of here. I want to come home. I can't do this. And she would talk me out of it. She would talk me off the ledge. And I was so glad she did. Yeah. So come graduation day, it was such a surreal. When I graduated that day, I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I did it. I did it. And I remember driving home that day, and in my mind, I'm like, I'm coming for you girls. Aww. Allie and Ava, Mommy's coming for you. You just hold on. Mommy's almost there. I just picture myself doing these victory laps and just running. And after I came home from rehab, my visits increased. They started to increase. We started doing visits in the community. We would go to the beach and we would go all kinds of places. Then they started transitioning into the home. And I remember getting the phone call that they were starting the 30-day transition. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they were like, Debbie, your girls are gonna be home in 30 days. And I remember I was on the phone and I fell to my knees. I couldn't even breathe. And so they've been home now since December 5th, and it still feels surreal.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
It still feels surreal.
So tell me about the programs that you had, your relationship with the DCF social workers, that I know that you have a group message, and you love the relationship that you have with them and the support they offered. What did DCF do for you as far as helping with that reunification, helping with that transition of getting the girls back home? Were there programs that were involved with your family?
Let me just tell you something about DCF. I don't know. My team, I can only speak for my team, are the most beautiful human beings, and they're in the right fields. What I appreciate so much about my team is they believed in me. Mm-hmm. They believed in me. And no judgment, nothing but love and compassion and transparency. They always were very open and honest with me. They always gave me the chance, and they were very supportive. And they offered all these programs. And whatever they threw at me, I was ready. I'm like, I'll do this, I'll do that. They referred me to IPV, which is Intimate Partner Violence, through Child and Family Agency. And I was with them for, I don't even know, 6 months, I believe. They'd come into my home twice a week. They were wonderful. I just finished that recently, before Christmas. And I'm actually still currently working with Child and Family Agency, but a different program called RTFT, Rapid Therapeutic Family Time, I think, or something like that. It can be a little intrusive sometimes having everyone in your home, but it's very helpful. And, it's funny because if someone says to me, DCF this, DCF that, I usually stick up for DCF. And it's true. I mean, let's be honest, DCF does have, a bad reputation, and people don't always like them. But that's not up to DCF, how your experience goes with DCF. It's up to you how things go. And I think everyone has the wrong idea. DCF, I can't speak for everyone's experience. I can only speak for my own. But, when my case closes, I'm going to be sad. I'm going to miss these women because they're like my little team of cheerleaders and my little supporters. And they've just been so wonderful. So wonderful.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity to change that narrative for how people see DCF, because I've been with DCF for 30 years, so I know what our reputation can be like, but I think that we're working hard to change that narrative and to change the lens in which people see us, that we are here to help families stay together or get back together. Our goal is for your twins to be back with you, and that happened. And all that work, you had our support, but you did all the work. You were determined to do that work and get the girls back. Tell me about that day when they actually brought the girls back to your home, and was it December 5th, you said? And they came back to your home, and they were all yours again. What was that day like?
I can't even put it in words. Probably one of the best days of my life. So many different feelings and emotions. That whole year just came rushing before me. It's crazy, like being a boy mom, right? My boys are 7 years apart. Anthony's 19, Alex is 12 now. The main men in my life. I think God knew to give me boys first, to show me what true unconditional love, like they're my first loves, And I always said I didn't want girls. And I honestly feel like God gave me twin daughters because he knew I needed that extra loving. So he gave me double. And being a twin mom in your own category is so fun and so unique. And they're just beautiful little girls. They're little versions of me, little Debbies. And I can't even tell you like how much I smother them. Sometimes I feel like I can be a little overbearing, but I just love them so much, and I'm doing the complete opposite of where I came from. I can't hug them enough. I can't kiss them enough. I will get on that floor and play with them for an hour with a puzzle. I will color with them. I will read with them. I'm just soaking it all up. Honestly, I'm kind of glad things happened the way it did, because I don't think I'd be where I am today if I hadn't gone through these things. And now I feel like I have this toolbox that's just filled with knowledge and experience and little different nuggets that I can teach my children and instill morals and values into them. because I really stand firm on breaking generational curses. And I don't want history to repeat itself.
And you absolutely have. And, I mean, even, with what you're teaching the girls and all that, but you're doing it with a clear mind because you're not involved with the alcohol and the drugs, and you're able to enjoy life and take it all in and be the mother that they deserve. Mm-hmm. And you're doing a wonderful job. And your story has been just so inspirational. And it's an opportunity for us. I know that, at Christmas time we talk about gifts and toys, and you had picked out some things for the girls back a couple weeks ago for Christmas time, which I'm sure was a big help. But wouldn't you say that the gift of healing is really the best gift that you could have given to your children?
Yes. And I believe that would be, there's nothing better than that. Mm-hmm. That is my gift to my children and to myself, mm-hmm. is to heal from my childhood. And you couldn't pay me to go back to my unhealed version of myself. I love who I am today. I didn't love myself before. And I was a good mom to my boys too, but moving forward after everything I've been through and losing the girls and coming out on the other side, I'm a better mother today than I've ever been. And I just really just soak it all up and just take it all in. And I'm present. Mm-hmm. I'm not just physically present, I'm emotionally present. I'm more patient mm-hmm. with my children.
Well, you're doing a phenomenal job. And, I wish that we could talk for so much longer, but we're coming to a close. Before we end our show today, what advice would you have for a mom or a dad who was that pile of crumbs, who, I think you said you walked out of hell barefoot? What would you tell them when they felt like giving up and you had the strength to not give up? What advice could you possibly give them about DCF, about that courage, about the bravery that you found within yourself?
Oh. Well, it's never too late. I would say that first. It's never too late to turn your life around. No one's going to do it for you but you. And it really is your decision. It's up to you, And it doesn't matter where you are either. It doesn't matter if you've lost your house, your car, your job, you've lost your children, you've lost yourself. You could have absolutely nothing. Mm-hmm. Like I shared in another interview, you can fall flat on your face mm-hmm. and you can get back up. And it's never too late. I went through trauma, addiction, abuse. I mean, you name it, I've been through it, mm-hmm. And I've been through a lot in my 41 years. But now where I'm at today, I know that my next 41 years is going to be beautiful. I know our future is bright for me and my children. Mm-hmm. But the only message I would send to a mom or dad that's currently going through something similar is just be honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about anyone else around you. Just sit with yourself for a while. Be honest with yourself. It's in you. It's in you. It's in all of us, right? Mm-hmm. We're all human. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to put in the work, and fight. And to not be scared of DCF. They mm-hmm. really are there to help you. DCF is not bad, I'm telling you. I'll advocate for DCF all day.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. Your story is so tender, and I wish you so much success with those beautiful girls that are watching you out in the green room right now and are going to be so proud of you when they can really understand all that you went through for yourself and for them. They're going to be so proud of you.
Thank you. I just want to show them that they're worth it.
They are worth it.
They're worth fighting for.
And you're worth it.
Thank
you're
you.
absolutely worth it. So thank you for being on our show today, Debbie.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you so much for watching Doors to Hope and Healing. And now we would like to share with you a video of one of our children who are telling you the needs that they have in their forever home. Thank you.
Being a teen is tough. But for teens in foster care, not knowing what comes next, their world can feel upside down. And they need you to help turn it around. Provide support, stability, hope, and right their world. Learn how you can foster a teen.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.